So these paintings are very much about memory, and I've looked into a lot of memory, especially with my father passing from Alzheimer's, which is a memory disease, and thinking about the senses and how that can relate to a visual medium like painting. Something that always kind of sticks in a very primal sense is the smell of fire, the smell of wood, and then the sound of fire burning, the sound of crackling fire, or touch also being there. Like, I've thought about how many fires I've made in my life, and something that like has always stuck with me is like there's a very specific way that I was taught to make a fire, and when I'm making these paintings, I build the fire that way. And I think about a lot of moments that I shared with my dad that were around a fire. And thinking back to a lot of the times where it's like, as a kid, like being really bored in a sense, but not realizing until way later that it was very foundational to who I am. The geometric, I'm calling them altars that are in front of the fires, is like a combination of a lot of things. I looked at a lot of Fritz Scholder, Francis Bacon, but also at the heart of it, thinking of my dad's paintings as well. Because a lot of my paintings that I grew up physically seeing, that I look at every day, are my dad's paintings, and the way he has laid out color fields. And I think color fields are really always been exciting to paint and to view because they're very instinctual. I always remember when my dad would look at paintings, his favorite thing to do would be like, this little bit of red that's showing through, or this one little bit of black dot line, or he'd always look at like, to see where the paint meets here, and you can just see the bit of brush stroke, just tiny right there, and then a more chiseled edge right here, those kind of things. And so with these, I put a lot of that in there. There's so many moments, and that's what makes them exciting to look at, you know? They always say when people go to museums, they look at it like an image, like you're looking at something on your phone, but in real life. When painters go to museums, they get right up real close, and they're look at this mark making, and you're looking at all those things. And that's what these paintings are. Every single inch of the surface of the canvas has something interesting in it. And you get beyond it of the initial image. You want to look at it at every different varying distance. And that's exciting to me, yeah. It's our most ancient technology, and it's still used to this day to affirm some of the most important things in life. Candles are lit anytime someone passes, or there's a vigil, or a Molotov cocktail represents revolution. Like you said, the Olympic torch, all these things that I think as a society, we've lost a lot of recognition of symbolism and significance of our greatest technology, which is fire. You know, it's something that we use every day too. You cook with it. So my dad led us through a whole guided process about that, and I write about it. And that's one other thing too with these paintings is like I started to write again. I haven't really written in 4 or 5 years, really. I kind of put down writing for a long time. It's been the only way that I get any kind of sleep. These paintings have kept me up for, as soon as I hit the bed, I can't stop thinking about like how I want to relate to them. Not necessarily how I want to talk about them or how I want to describe them, but how I want to relate to them. So in that sense, it's like, I didn't even make them. Someone else made them and I'm trying to relate to them. More now than ever, I've realized how much of like, I'm not even putting down the brush strokes. They're just kind of like coming from somewhere else. Inwardly, the language of what you're trying to express is almost starting to do it on its own, effortlessly. And that's the way I felt making this body of work. It was very effortless. It wasn't labor intensive at all. I had a joy in my heart making it every single minute of it, you know? Even when there were times when like I literally did break down and cry in the studio during times, you know? I don't think I've done that in almost 4 years. At the core of it is this wanting to be as sincere as possible. And I think 5 years ago, I wanted it, but I didn't really fully see it, you know? I knew I was in the beginning, the very beginning. But now, I feel like I'm starting over all over again. Like this is the beginning of something so much longer, you know? I feel very fortunate that I have this medium that I can use to process. And so with this significant passing of not just my father or my parent, but someone that's been a teacher to me my whole life, what I've been going through is still very raw in a sense, you know? I mean, I would even use the strong word of fear. When any elder passes or anyone that was from a generation that carried so much story in them, that you're gonna lose a lot of that with them. And so maybe that's what a lot of this is that yearning for not wanting to lose that, you know? And I think a lot of people can relate to that. My desire when people view this body of work is to see me at my most vulnerable and most sincere to this date. And to be excited at the craft and creativity and exploration that went into it. And to see the joy and the happiness that came out of a period of my time that is grief. And it has the moments of reflection and sadness in it, but it also has something very elemental and a primalness that will relate to them through this concept of meditating and depicting fire and flame.